of a ballet tradition. Artists were invited from abroad, but performed in variety theaters. In between a circus act and a music hall number, sets had to be changed in minutes. In the most important of these theaters, the Alhambra, Diaghilev restaged Petipaz's ballet Sleeping Beauty in 1921. As Princess Aurora, Olga Spasitseva outshone even Carlotta Brianza, who created the role in St. Petersburg and who interpreted the role of Caraboss in this production. Leon Bakst redesigned the costumes and sets for the occasion. This amazing extravaganza ruined Diaghilev and gave British audiences a taste for the full-length narrative ballet as in Petipaz's time. It was two women, Marie Rambert and Ninette de Valois, both of whom had worked with the Ballet Russe, who were to launch the tradition of British ballet. They were on the fringe of the Bloomsbury group, which included D.H. Lawrence, Virginia Woolf and her husband Leonard, Lydia Lopakova, a ballerina with Diaghilev, and her husband, the economist Maynard Keynes. Lopakova and her husband perpetuated the spirit of the Ballet Russe and brought together artists from different disciplines. They created the Camargo Society, where Marie Rambert met Ninette de Valois. Marie Rambert had assisted Nijinsky on The Rite of Spring. She formed a company, and one of their early successes was Fasod, a performance to the music of William Walton and inspired by Edith Sitwell's poetry. Fasod was choreographed by Frederick Ashton, whose talent Rambert was quick to spot and encourage. If Ashton owed his beginnings to Marie Rambert, it was under Ninette de Valois that he became a great classical choreographer. Very quickly, the paths of Marie Rambert and Ninette de Valois diverged. Rambert took to the unexplored territories of modern dance, and de Valois to the realms of the classical tradition. Ninette de Valois was first a dancer and then manager with Diaghilev. She created a company and a school, which eventually formed the Royal Ballet. Ashton retained from his teachers, Cecchetti and Massine, the art of the pantomime. He scoured musical comedy and the theater for inspiration. His sharp humor would shake the cobwebs from one of the oldest ballets in the repertoire, La Fille Mal Gardée. The troops. Sidney Tudor had become her leading choreographer following the departure of Ashton in 1935. Tudor's works reflect the concerns of the Bloomsbury artists, the voyage into the interior self, explicit in the writings of Virginia Woolf. 1936 saw the outbreak of civil war in Spain. In Dark Elegies, Tudor portrayed the unspeakable suffering of a community who had lost their children to the music of Mahler's Kindertotenlieder, songs of the death of children. Alongside the rise of ideologies, dictatorships were established. Dance could no more easily than any other art escape the convulsions which shook the world. One cannot dance to the sound of guns.
Nous sentions tellement qu'il y avait peu de chance d'en ressortir qu'en passant le porche, nous avons chanté la Marseillaise pour nous donner du courage. Là, on nous a rasé la tête et on nous a tatoué sur l'avant-bras gauche le numéro matricule.
In the post-war climate, a horror-struck world uncovered the scale of the tragedy. At Yalta, the world was carved up. The Cold War followed. All the arts registered the shock of this history now become absurd. But the theater of Beckett in particular proved a tireless reminder. In Paris, the post-war scene was of a disillusioned youth who danced in the bars of Saint-Germain-des-Prés to the Trompinette of Villon. Existentialism, the hope of the hopeless, made itself a way of life. It formed an umbrella for anything new from both intellectual and artistic circles, from Albert Camus to Jean-Paul Sartre, from Juliette Greco to Miles Davis. Maurice Béjart was soaked in this atmosphere. Born in Marseille, son of a philosopher, he came to Paris in 1950.
Je voudrais des chocs pour de temps en temps réveiller les gens et qu'ils prennent conscience.
He met a radio producer, Pierre Schaeffer, who was made famous by the Shadows. He and Pierre Henry introduced Béjart to musique concrète. To ambient music composed by Pierre-Henry, he created Symphonie pour un homme seul. For the first time in classical ballet, a choreographer wrestled with his own history, portrayed his fears, and testified to his solitude.
Et maintenant, vous redescendez, voilà, là. Mais qu'on voit vos mains, là. Voilà, là.
Paris rejected Béjart and preferred Roland Petit, a pure product of the Paris Opera Ballet. Both took on the same themes, the anguish of the age, the painful quest for meaning, mankind face to face with death. But the public opted unreservedly for the more classical elegance of Petit. Petit surrounded himself with those who had once accompanied the Ballet Russe: Serge Liffard, Jean Cocteau, Boris Koshno, and the designer Natalia Goncharova. For his wife, Zizi Jeanmaire, he choreographed Carmen, which confirmed him as a master of narrative ballet. After the success of Carmen, Petit went to Hollywood, where he worked with Fred Astaire. On his return, he revealed another aspect of his art in the music hall numbers he created for Zizi. But it was Béjart who created the major event at the Universal Exhibition in Brussels, with his explosive version of The Rite of Spring. Unlike his predecessors, Nijinsky and Massin, Béjart stripped the music of all narrative and reduced the work to a confrontation of sexes. After existentialism came a second movement embracing humanitarianism and the brotherhood of man. The work of Béjart reflected the hedonism and the polemics of youth. His dance matched the social realities of the day. With decolonization and the birth of the new republics in full swing, Béjart made dance the symbol of humanity searching for its identity, an instrument of solidarity. It became a universal language. Dancers in his company came from all over the world, were of every race and creed, but were all trained in the classical tradition.
Pour moi, la base de la danse classique est indispensable pour acquérir la connaissance de son corps. Un bon danseur n'a jamais de difficulté à changer de style et de chorégraphe.
Sur la gauche, enveloppé. Non, non, sur la gauche, enveloppé.
After each tour abroad, he integrated into his work the languages of ethnic dances and local traditions. From India, he brought back Bhakti, and from Iran, Golistan. Dance was finally able to break free from the closed circle of the regular opera house audiences. His performances filled stadiums as easily as football matches. His ballets were messes pour le temps présent, masses for the present time.
Je crois qu'il n'y a pas de créateurs à part entière. Je crois qu'on se sert tous les uns des autres. Je crois qu'on transpose tous, que chacun se sert, mange, dévore et transforme. On est un peu comme des cannibales qui dévorent leurs ancêtres.
What would have become of Balanchine if he had stayed in the Soviet Union? And what had become of the innovators of the 20s, Balanchine's teachers? Leonid Lopukov, who had lost his directorship of the Bolshoi under Stalin, had had to renounce abstract ballet. Instead, he concentrated his energy on the folk traditions in which he was an expert. Kasyan Golozovsky, whose futurist ballets had so delighted Balanchine, would direct his talent towards choreographic miniatures.
Ну вот я говорил, что экспериментировать нам было очень все-таки трудно, потому что за нами следили, как будто мы делаем какой-то грех, совершаем большой. И я переселился в теперешний славянский базар. Там нам дали помещение, и там вот я производил свои эксперименты.
As for Leonid Lavrovsky, companion and fellow student of Balanchine at the Mariinsky, he had become a Soviet official choreographer. We owe to him one of the best Soviet dance dramas, Romeo and Juliet, choreographed to the music of Prokofiev. Balanchine returned several times to Russia, and gradually the master of abstract ballet won over his country.
What is abstract? You see, I say it's concrete, it's not abstract. They mean storyless, but they could be a meaning in it. The people that meet, that one person gives a hand and the girl embraces, it already has a meaning in it.
Balanchine had allied himself from 1948 with a young choreographer whose name would become famous through the success of West Side Story, Jerome Robbins.
Well, first of all, of course, I look for a very good, strong classic ballet technique as a foundation. And after that, I look for versatility in that besides having that accomplished, they can dance in a number of styles. I look for a directness and a simpleness of manner and economy of movement, so that there's no she or phony mannerisms of false personalities applied to it.
Robbins' beginnings were with the American Ballet Theater, the second great pillar of classical ballet in America, where the psychological ballet was the dominant form, and the works of Anthony Tudor in particular. Wherever they came from,